Hey all, Board Game Rants here where you'll find everything solo, tabletop gaming, and more. I'm back after a little break, a little hiatus, a little summer jaunt. Still got some gaming in. Let's talk about it, shall we? So I hope that you, wherever you're at, had a good summer. If you're northern hemisphere-ish, we're kind of coming on the downside of that. Schools have started up here in the States. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Fall kind of comes about 2 weeks early, it feels like, most years. And so we're kind of right in there, switching over. You know, the leaves are changing. And it's bittersweet. You know, on one hand, summertime, I don't game as much, typically. And this summer was certainly a little more normal. And you know, it depends a little on life too. Sometimes you really need to take advantage of that summertime and get out there with friends and family, hang out, travel, etc. And I did, but I did still get some gaming in. I didn't do a MVP show last month, so those of you new to the channel, welcome. This is where I typically once a month talk about all the games that I played, what I thought about them, and then the MVP is the most voraciously played game of that particular period of time. But this is just a smidge over 2 months, but I'm going to kind of cram it all together here, and we're going to call this the Summer MVP. And I think it is September 6th, so I'm a little into... So I've got a few games in, we're going to talk about those, but plenty to talk about over this past summer. So to start it all off here, I got 91 plays in of games over the summer, and that being July and August, and 19 different games altogether. And to blow through, you know, the multiplayer ones, because this is mainly about solo stuff, right? So I'm going to stick with that. Played Uno 16 times, and The Mind a couple times, 2 times. Played Clue. Kind of came out of nowhere. One of my kids wanted to play that. It was kind of fun. We played it 5 times. Whatever. It's Clue. Codenames. Played that once. That, of course, is that's becoming a modern classic, if you will. Ganz Schon Clever. That one in particular is fantastic little roll and write. So that's what also I played, take now the Blur coming over into the solo multiplayer range, Renegade. Victory Point Games, Richard Wilkins designed that, Ricky Royal, and made my top 10 of fave solos last year. And played that twice with, I think that's like the first time I played that multiplayer. And very enjoyable. I mean, just as good as solo. You know, solo is just nice because I can play it whenever I want. But playing it multiplayer, and it is a cooperative game, and you're all together and you're trying to hack this computer. Very satisfying game. And everybody I played with it loves it. Everybody. I played 1, 2, 3 different people, and they all liked it. And it's kind of an abstract. You're shifting colors around and whatnot, with a nice theme though associated with it, and very cool. So played that. That was now. Then I couldn't help myself. I played it 4 times solo. That is Renegade. So now going down the solo list, I got a game, 4 games of Too Many Bones, Undertow. I'd swapped games with someone, and we kind of got back together and swapped back. So I had to get my fix in there of Too Many Bones, Undertow, fantastic game, and even played a couple games of vanilla Too Many Bones as well. 2 games of that. Gaia Project, my number 1 of 2018 solo game. Played that 3 times because I got that back too, and it's as glorious as I remember. You know, Gaia Project. In a game I guess I talked a little bit about the last time I did an MVP show was Underwater Cities. I played 2 more games of that. That must have been, I'm assuming that was early in July, I guess, that I must have played that, because I think I did July, so August, this is September. So I must have already talked about that, I'm guessing, because I played it a lot more than 2 times. So I must have been kind of on the tail end of that. Underwater Cities has a solo mode to it, solo version, and but I put it away, and it's a good game. I think I need to play it multiplayer to give it another chance. It was fine as a solo game, just not really a standout solo game. Dungeon Alliance. Played that one time. One time because I was preparing for the Kickstarter stuff to come. There was Dungeon Alliance, the Champions expansion, and then the adventure packs, 4 different adventure packs. And they did come. And I have started playing them. But that was this month, so I'm not going to talk about them right now. But I played Dungeon Alliance this summer, waiting for this stuff to come. Waiting for stuff from Kickstarter is becoming like, okay, the bane of my existence. That's a little strong. But oh my gosh, I'm just kind of fed up. Anyway, and I talked a little bit about that before too. Anyway, so continue on. I got this game super cheap from, I feel like it was like a year ago. I don't know, it was a long time ago. My friendly local game store does 2 sales, and it must have been last year sometime. I picked up this game called Expo 1906 for pennies on the dollar, and I played it once. It has a solo mode, so that's why I got it, and that was it. I played it once, and that was it. That was fine. Nope. It's probably a perfectly fine game. It just has, I could just tell it was not. It kind of reminded me of the Princes of Florence, I want to say, which has a fan-made solo variant, which I don't think I've ever tried. But Princes of Florence is a classic game. And it had kind of the same, kind of reminded me of that, because you're putting these little tiles, these little Tetris-y things, and you're kind of fitting them into a grid. Played that once, and that was enough for me. I'm just never going to play that again. Not because it's some sort of terrible game. It's just not up there in the echelon of solo gaming for me. Interesting one that I just decided to try though was 4 Against Darkness, which isn't a board game. It's a solo game. It says 4 Against Darkness, but it's actually a booklet of a very streamlined D&D formula that just requires you to have pencil and paper and some dice, and that's it. And you kind of just you need a grid piece of paper, and rooms come up as you roll. You roll a room, and that particular room you draw on your thing, and you adventure into it, and maybe some bad creatures are going to come after you. Maybe you'll find a treasure or a fountain or and stuff sometimes can sneak up behind you, and you have to go in a certain way with your 4 characters, because you're playing 4 characters, and so they have to kind of go down corridors in a certain fashion. You got to pick, and it seemed very well done, but it didn't. I played it, 2 times. I think I'm just a sucker for bits and pieces and stuff. I just need that tactile experience, that full board game experience. And I've tried D&D so many times in so many different ways, and it just never really sticks. Just Dungeons and Dragons in general. I did a sort of a stint with Shadowrun, and in a game I'm about to get to here in a second that's reminds me of a board game version of Dungeons and Dragons. But so 4 Against Darkness, it's just, it was super cheap. Get this little booklet and kind of read through the rules and try playing it. I could see how people can get pretty addicted to it, but it just wasn't my thing. So now a game that I was able to get super cheap, and it had a fan-made solo variant. I kind of got into that idea for a little bit. And that is Civilization: A New Dawn. It's a Sid Meier game, but a lot of people were saying it's not like a normal Civilization game. People were missing the militaristic side of things of typical Sid Meier Civilization games. And yeah, this was, certainly not, it didn't feel like a big battle-y game, but ultimately, I did not play it solo, or I did not play it multiplayer. I only played it solo. And so it was, I think, just kind of already going to feel different. But I didn't really take to the solo variant, the fan made solo variant for Civilization and New Dawn. It looked cool. It had cards and that you put out. So the coolest thing about that game was just the way the action selection worked, because you kind of had this row of 5 cards, and each card kind of did a certain thing. Allowed you to explore, allowed you to attack, allowed you to trade, something like that. And then the cards were kind of on this conveyor belt type thing. Whatever you picked, the further to the right it was, the stronger the card action was. So like if you really wanted, you take that action, and then you had to kind of swoop it all the way around to the left, and everything slides over to the right. And so now your strongest card that you just took that action with is now your weakest card, essentially. But which was cool, because it was just very interesting. It had you making some cool choices there. It's like, do I take this? I really want to take this action now, but if I wait just another turn, I'll be able to do it a little stronger. Oh, is it worth it? Or maybe I should just do this type of action, let that grow in strength, and then wrap it around, just let it go and just wait and hold on. Or there was some cool little agonizing decisions there. And the cards themselves you could level up, so then it wasn't so you could take maybe your action a little earlier and it was still pretty strong. So that was cool. I really liked that whole mechanism to the game. But aside from that, the solo version just felt a little too much like, for me anyway, the solo variant. It was just fan made. It wasn't anything, official. It just felt like I was kind of playing two-handed, really, essentially. And so it just didn't really like it that much. I chucked it all away, but I played 3 games of that. So now the game I was saying that's board game-ish and Dungeons and Dragons like, I went to I make these mistakes going to my friendly local game store just to use the restroom. Innocent. I can't tell you how many times this has got me. I walk in and there's Hexplore It, the Forest of Adramon, the newer I guess volume 2 of so it was the first game, and then this was the second game that people I really didn't know anything about it. I saw it, went to use the restroom, came back out, and it was $100 because I'm thinking, oh man, I passed on the first one because there was some iffy stuff said about it, and then as I was looking at the second one, everyone was saying it's all been fixed, it's all better now, and I thought, after about 5 minutes, I just went for it. I picked it up and I started playing it. And do I regret it? No, but yes, I guess. And not because I think it's a bad game. It is just I think it's pretty fantastic. I think it's pretty remarkable what it does. And but there's a lot of, you keep track of this character. And you set out this board, so there's definitely board game elements, and there's some pieces and stuff. But the way you kind of keep track of your stats is all this dry erase stuff. So you're leveling up here, you got to erase this, erase that. Oh, you got some more food. Oh, I got this item. You got to write it all out. Oh, I got 7 of these. Okay, you're writing everything out. You're using eventually you just give up and you're using. It's got these little eraser things, but you start using your thumb and you start using your elbow and you start using your shirt. It becomes, I don't know, it just feels, and then if you reach across and you actually bump something with your arm and it swipes off like a number and you're like, what was that number? I just don't like it. I don't like that form. It would be so incredibly fiddly if you had pieces to keep track of all this stuff, but I'd almost prefer it. Just because I don't mind moving bits and pieces around. I especially like the way, like the City of Kings, which I've talked a lot about that. I love how there's just a little, you just kind of keep track with a cube, and it keeps track of how much your maximum health is, or how much your maximum attack is, or how much, I like that. I don't like having to, I went from 5 to 6, erase the 5, write the 6. Oh, I went from 6 to 7, erase the 6, write the 7. No, I'd rather just move a cube, boop, over like that. And I think there'd be a lot more to that with Hexplore It than the City of Kings. But, that and the story is pretty cool. I like the story, but there's this one big boss that I played this 8 times, by the way. And over that 8 times, it had to have been 20 plus hours of play. It was, the games are long, which is another issue for me. I like shorter games. And it's, especially the first couple, just trying to, because you really gotta, you go out and you're just this weak ass adventurer. You can't do anything. You can hardly, you come across these real wimpy creatures that kill you sometimes. And but over the time, I really like the feeling of just you gain momentum, and you end up being this beast at the end, and you got to take out this queen. I forget what her name is. Anyway, she's of course doing bad things to the land, and you got to put a stop to it. It's the same old story, but it was cool. I didn't mind the story. It kind of came with a cool little book that had a flavor, like if you do if you kill this type of creature, read this, and you could add some flavor to it. Oh my God, that was one thing that I couldn't stand about the game. It's the stupid rule books. Oh my, what? They fell apart. They just fell apart. They're just the way, I could tell they were going to fall apart. These small rule books. And as you flip through the pages, you go through that book more than a few times, and the pages start falling out, and they did. And I found that just incredibly like how was that not picked up on? So that really left a bad taste in my mouth too, because that's just what? Why? Anyway, you shouldn't have manuals that fall apart. You shouldn't. So. But aside from that, I thought the game design was absolutely remarkable, and how it played and interacted, and it took a couple plays to really start getting the flow down, but then you can start moving pretty good, and there's this timer aspect to it, the fate tracker, I think it's called, and it really built the kind of crescendo, but there's really only one bad guy to fight at the end, and if you're just playing one character, you're kind of limited, because the characters are just this sort of, they do a very special one thing, or a couple things, but man, there's just so many small things to, like, how does this spell work? And so I don't even do this, and this level, and this number, and that number, and the plus ones and the minus ones, and eventually it just becomes this hodgepodge of, I end up dying from a creature, and then I'm looking, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot I had this bit of something, and I could have added +2 to my attack here, and it's just becomes cumbersome. Some people love keeping track of that. I am not one of them. So, moving on, let's talk a little bit about the things that I was disappointed with this summer, and that was Fallout, the board game, with the expansion, California something or other. Played 6 games of that, and it was it was not enough for me. And I did a review on this. Ultimately, it just felt too shallow. It just ended up being, started from very little, and suddenly you have cards and quests and creatures everywhere. But there was it was just designed, I think, to be appealing to a certain level of depth in a game that some people, it's just their sweet spot, and it wasn't mine. It just kind of every time I wanted a little bit more, it was like, that's it, that's the whole mechanic, like the attack mechanic, the battle mechanic is, I think it's just right for the game, but it certainly leaves something to be desired for me. And the way you level up and you get your special, SPECIAL, if you know anything about Fallout. Anyway, the leveling up was very unsatisfying. Just allow me some rerolls, which I swear, I'd have one roll. I'm like, I'm not going to make this roll. Oh my God, I made it. And then other times where I'd leveled up and I could reroll 2 or 3 times, and you wouldn't make it. It's just come on, it was too surface for me, I guess. And so Fallout, I found that disappointing. Another one, Teotihuacan, the late pre-classic period expansion. That I played 3 times, and I wasn't nearly as disappointed with that as I was with Fallout, but I was still, it was $35 for the expansion. The base game was only $50. $15 more, you got a complete game that was astonishingly good solo. And you pay, now you're up to $85, and you got a few more bits that you could. I just didn't find it worth it for solo. For solo, I guess. It's probably had some cool. It had a bunch of little modular things you could add in or not. Had a new temple track. That was what I was most excited about. And the way the solo temple track, how it was implemented, I'm pretty sure I was doing it right. This is a David Turksey, which is, right up my alley, his stuff. But I just didn't like the way that solo was. It was too simplistic to me. It just had the AI opponent automatically, TOD-bot automatically got got the bonus for that track. Doesn't move up a track, and it automatically just got these upgrade things that as you move up this orange temple track. So you either had, if you added that temple in, you just better have that as part of your strategy. You couldn't. It just felt weird. And so maybe the fact that you could pick there's 6 different what do you want to call them, asymmetrical things you could start with, be a certain faction. I can't remember, like a character you're playing, and there was 6 for TOD-bot and a bunch for, I think, 10 for the player, and you could randomize that and start your game, and that kind of gave you a direction. You were certainly strong in one area but not in another, and I found that cool, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't as for what I paid for the game and what it was giving me in addition to my solo game that I already loved in just vanilla Teotihuacan. I didn't think it was worth it. So, but that just could be me. So I was a little disappointed there. So now let's get to the little surprise. The surprise game for me anyway was Trajan. Trajan was is a Stefan Feld game, point salad game, and gosh, why can't I remember? It was one of the viewers, thank you, suggested, hey, I did this solo variant for Trajan, and I got some extra cards, and I believe it was actually officially published in the Polish version of Trajan, but didn't make it to the States version, and offered to send me some cards. I was like, hey, I'm gonna check it out. I went and I print and played these, got these cards, printed them out, checked into it. I was really in the mood too. It hit me at just the right spot because I was feeling point salad-ish, and then it was so I learned it. Real easy to learn, real easy to implement. I did a video on it on how it works, how to play it. It was fantastic. So thank you. I'll maybe put your name up on the screen there, but thank you. I thanked you on the tutorial video, but because that hit the spot, I played it 6 times and enjoyed the heck out of it. So there was an unofficial fan-made solo variant that I thought was fantastic, and it was very kind of an Automa style deck of cards that runs the Automa, very easy to implement. Well done, I thought. So, and now the moments no one's probably been waiting for. The MVP of the summer, as it turns out, was Pax Pamir, 2nd edition. Holy moly, 19 plays, and actually all just this last month, because I didn't get the game until August. And yeah, that one's destined to be in the top 10 faves for this year. I have 3 others. Do you remember what those are? I already mentioned the City of Kings, but there was 2 others beside that. Anyway, Pax Pamir, 2nd edition. I always was a little intimidated by it. Ricky Royal had done his own solo variant of the 1st edition. It's years ago, a couple years ago. It couldn't have been that long. Saw it, and I was like, because it's just the game. The game is just it's history based, and I'm not a history guy. I don't like. I guess I don't like history. I'm just not interested. It's just never been my thing. And this was all very, it looked dry, just like cotton mouth, when I thought about it. And so I just passed up on it. But then the 2nd edition came out, and people were starting to rave about it. And then Ricky Royal went on his channel and said, "Hey, I'm making the official solo variant." And I kind of watched it, and it was kind of a card Automa based kind of, but this time you take a card and you flip it over, and you combine the 2 to take the AI's actions, which was very Gaia Project like, very Euphoria. Well, Euphoria with its expansion like. It's kind of this new, it seems to be a new trend in solo variants in gaming and Automa style opponents. And it just kind of, it almost tipped me over. And then I saw this review. Who was it? I can't, I'll try to remember. But the person who did the review kind of sold it. They said, you don't need to know. Don't worry about the history. You can enjoy this game whether you know a thing about the history or not. As it turns out, I get this game, and it's by Cole Worley, and who did the game Root, right? And it's all, and I've been I talked a little bit about Root earlier this year, and there's expansion material coming, I think at the end of this year, maybe, and it could be Root 2 essentially, because there's a whole area control thing to it, just like in Root, and the Russians represent the bears, the Afghans represent, I think, the eagles, and the I can't remember. I can't remember like factions. There was a pink, a yellow, and a green. That's and they each had animals associated with them. So it was kind of essentially like, oh, it's the bears against the the eagles or whatever. And so fighting over this territory, which could be a forest or whatever. So once I broke it down into these very simple elements, then I could get into the mechanics of the game and the mechanics of PAX Premier Second Edition. There is nothing like remarkable about there's no like crazy awesome, like, wow, I've never seen this before mechanic. Sort of like Wingspan though. Like Wingspan, nothing, there's no crazy cool, mechanics there that I've never really seen before. It's just how they're put together that make the game so good. Back to PAX Premier, which I believe is a superior game, by the way, even though I know Wingspan is far more accessible, whatever. PAX Premier, the mechanics, and there's a number of them, they're all interwoven in this intricate, beautiful way that it takes a game that's fairly straightforward to learn and makes it just a doozy. You start off with nothing, and then as you build, there is so much to keep track of, but it's also wonderful. It's not like a brain-burning game. It's just sort of, you get 2 actions each turn, and then the Wakan is the name of the solo AI, gets to do her actions. But her actions are a little simplified in certain ways, actually. It can be it's kind of complex to run. It really is. Once you get into it, there's a lot of things. My biggest beef with the game is my own weakness, and that is I struggle to keep track of all the little things. Like if you put money on certain cards, now you can't buy that card. If you lose a tribe out on the map, now you got to remember to take your purple political card off of your tableau. If you if you have a spy on a card, remember to pay the bribe. If you play a card and someone out there rules that area, you have to pay them money. You gotta do all these. It just gets to be a hodgepodge of things to kind of remember. And I wouldn't say it's fiddly. It's just tough to keep track of, and very easy to lose, and make errors later in the game as it picks up speed. I did a series on this. I actually did a tutorial on it, and mainly how to play, and also it's just part 1 and part 2. I have a part 3, and I'm just hesitant to put it out. It's the end, because I really, you can learn how to play the game solo by just watching part 1 and part 2. So I kind of feel like I more or less accomplished what I was trying to do. But part 3 is just kind of chock full of errors. I think I found them all. I think I notated them all, and it's just a little much. So I may put that out, I may not. It just depends on if I hear enough people saying they really want to see how it ends, because it figures. Turned out to be the longest game I've ever played, that went like the distance and had other scenarios come up that I've never had to deal with, and I was kind of just guessing. But oh my gosh, that game is fantastic. Comes with a weird cloth board, which I'm not too keen on. Everybody seems to really love that, and I kind of like, it was novel, but it doesn't really kind of lay out straight, and sometimes the pieces like almost want to fall over because it's kind of and whatever. So it was cool though. I don't know, I feel cool for owning it. PAX Premier Second Edition, even if you know nothing of the history, this game's mechanics are, and the way they're designed to all work together, is astonishingly brilliant, in my opinion. So, that was my MVP there. So, games I'm looking forward to. So, I was gonna, so Dungeon Alliance, I got the expansion material for. Oh, to that, God bless it. I'm just so fed up with waiting for Kickstarters. I know I'm not the only one, but here's one thing so I got Cloudspire. I just got Cloudspire yesterday. That is a Chip Theory game. Chip Theory Game is a glorious company that only sells games out of their distribution. You're not going to find it in retail stores. You're not going to find it on Amazon. You can only buy it through them. And then, first through the Kickstarter and then only through their online store. Only way you can buy it. And they are hideously beautiful. They are, the pieces, the component quality is like, it's over the top, which I love. And the games are expensive, but not, I think they're very, very in line value-wise with what you get. And the games are fantastic. So I get Cloudspire. I'm chomping at the bit. I haven't even opened yet because I kind of want to do a little unboxing, talk about it while I open it. But it was late. Like all the freaking Kickstarters, they're all late. And this one in particular I was a little bitter about because Chip Theory Games asked everybody, their backers, hey, at this certain con, I forget what it was. I think it was early August. Can we, we have our games. Do you mind if we sell them at the con? And we all said yes. And they did. And then I had the pleasure. Now, granted, the date that we were supposed to have received our copies, the backers of the Kickstarter, was already passed. And I think it was supposed to be July or June or July. So it's already passed. And now, and we still don't have them. And so, yeah, go ahead. Of course we're going to say that. And then I got to see people raving about the game and playing the game. And while I'm sitting there, a backer, the person that helped, bring this project to life, gets to sit there and, wait for their game while everybody else maybe paid a few bucks more and has it now. That didn't support it at all in the past, but gets it now. But I was one of the people that said yes, right? Everybody did. There was only a very few people that said no. And so I got what I asked for, right? And it's just, so I got the game, but like a month after everybody else has had it, not everybody else, but other people have had, been able to play it. Me, the backer, the person that they've had my money for like a year, and they're late delivering on it, and then they're putting it out for other people to enjoy before me, the backer, gets to. Does it sound a little bitter? Do I sound a little like, a little burnt on it? So but I said yes. So it's kind of like, for me, I was trying to figure out, so why do I feel like this? What's going on? What, am I just am I being trivial? Here's what I think it is. I am horrifically mechanically uninclined. I can't build anything. I can't fix anything. It's just not my thing. I'm not good at it. I don't really care to do it. I am surrounded by people, in-laws, family, friends that are remarkably able at fixing stuff and building things and else. And there's stuff that I want done and fixed and whatever. All I'd have to do is ask. And anyone would come and help me. But, at what point are you kind of taking advantage of a situation, So, I guess, how does that have to do with what happened here? It's just because someone's going to say yes doesn't mean you should take them up on it, I guess is what I'm getting at. And in this case, I think Chip Theory Games, you just don't ask. Because we're going to say, yes, we love you, Chip Theory Games. We love your games. I love you. But you just shouldn't ask. Because I'm going to say yes. But inside, it's not going to feel terrific. And that everybody has a certain threshold where they just do get fed up. And they're just like, you know what, I'm not gonna support their next game or something. I'm not there yet. Not saying I'm there yet. But it's happening. It's happening. I've heard it in other people too. So yeah. My suggestion is, hang on. You got the games, just hang on them for another month. Wait, let your backers really enjoy the full experience of feeling great about supporting your game a year ago, giving you all that money, and just being and holding on. Now you hold on to your money. you with yes, you're going to get money for your transaction, and maybe I don't know why you're so desperate for it, but you want to get your game out there. I get it, but just hold on to that game. Don't make it available retail for until your backers have it. Just wait, and don't ask them because they're always going to say yes. So, but just because they're going to say yes doesn't mean you should ask them, I guess is what I'm getting at. So anyway, and that's just my 2 cents on that. Whatever. So Cloudspire, oh my gosh, I can't wait to dig into it. I'm hearing magnificent things about that. Tapestry, the new Stonemaier game. Woo-wee! That is, if you've watched how, now that's some marketing. A lot of people hate it. Yeah, I find it amazing how many people out there are just so venomous with their words. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it because there's people out there that they get their kicks off of doing that. Whether you agree, and I'm pretty sure all these people who are so venomous probably have no sales or marketing experience whatsoever. Maybe some of them do. I don't know, but it's still no reason, even if you did, to be like that. And there's this crazy battle on Board Game Geek where there's like ratings of 1, ratings of 10, and everybody's justifying everything, and it's just what a crazy world we live in sometimes. Anyway. So that just went on pre-order, and I got my pre-order in like 5 minutes in when it opened. It's coming in like less than 2 weeks. I've heard about the game really only for about a few weeks up until I got to order it, and now I get the game, and at a discount, it was like $100 retail, and I've got it for $80 with free shipping. The value looks magnificent. The game looks magnificent. The turnaround is magnificent. I think Jamie Stegmaier is doing a remarkable job. All things considered, is it perfect? No, there's no perfect way to do it. There really isn't. But I find it remarkably, flawless. All things considering, I think it's wonderful to be like shell out the money and oh my gosh, I'm gonna have this game that everybody wants in like less than 2 weeks. What? In this day and age of Kickstarter, so refreshing. Just incredible. So, thank you, Jamie Stegmaier, Stonemaier Games. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I can't wait to play Tapestry. That's coming. Some other games I'm looking at, Black Angel. Very interesting. I could get that. These are a couple games, Black Angel and Vindication. If anybody has any words on those, are they any good or whatever, I'd love to hear it because those games I'm really eyeballing, and I'd like to maybe pick up. They're spendy. I think Vindication's 100, Black Angel's 80. Is it worth it? I've already got Cloudspire and Tapestry that could just take over for a month anyway. So I think that's it, you guys. That went on for a while, but I was kind of doing 2 months worth of MVP stuff all together. There's the summer show, and now I'm looking to get back on track. Off season for gaming is done. It's getting cold out there. And it's time to be, everybody's, bundling up and inside and indoors and playing some games. That's what I'm going to be doing. I hope it is for you too. And I hope it is that you are going to be playing games too. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, anybody who's new to the channel this summer. Thank you for joining me. And leave any comments, questions, blah, 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 down below. All that jazz. Can't wait to talk to you next month. And until next time, I'm Board Game Rants, and I'm out.